I didn't cry when it happened. Not when my stepmother's voice echoed through a ballroom full of polished people and expensive perfume. Not when she said, clear as crystal, into a microphone, "Security, remove this woman." Not even when 200 heads turned at once, like I was some kind of scandal they'd been waiting to witness. And definitely not when my father, standing right there, just a few steps away in his perfect tux, looked down at the floor like it suddenly mattered more than I did. I didn't cry. I just walked out. Slow, steady, spine straight, like I wasn't breaking in places no one could see. And within an hour, I ended everything they thought they controlled. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Laura Paxton. I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of the night I stopped disappearing. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, stay with me, because I promise you, this isn't just a story about money. It's about what happens when silence finally runs out. Let me take you back. Before the ballroom, before the whispers, before security put their hands on my arms like I didn't belong. Back to a quiet apartment in Brooklyn. Late at night, just me, a half-empty mug of tea, and a cardboard box I hadn't opened in years. It was my mother's box. You know the kind, the one you carry from house to house, telling yourself you'll go through it one day, but you never do because some things hurt too much to unpack. My mom, Catherine, died when I was 11. Cancer. 8 months from diagnosis to funeral. Just like that. One day, she was teaching me how to draw floor plans at the kitchen table, explaining how every wall had a purpose, how every beam carried weight you couldn't always see. And then she was gone. And everything after that, it felt like someone erased her. Her photos, her name, her presence. Even the way my father spoke changed, like saying her name out loud was something fragile he couldn't afford to say. 8 months later, he remarried. Diane. And if you've ever met someone who can take over a room without raising their voice, you'll understand exactly who she was. She didn't yell. She rearranged. Slowly, quietly, completely. By the time I was 14, I wasn't sitting next to my father at dinner anymore. By 16, my bedroom was gone, turned into her wellness space. By 18, I wasn't in the family Christmas photos. Not accidentally, strategically. I became optional. And the worst part? My father let it happen. Not because he didn't love me, but because loving me out loud would have cost him something, and he never chose anything that came with a cost. So I learned something early. If I stayed quiet, things stayed calm. If I didn't fight, I could still exist in the corners. So that's what I did, for 23 years. Fast forward. I built a life for myself. Not flashy, not Instagram perfect, but real. I became a restoration architect. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound glamorous. I don't design skyscrapers. I don't wear heels to meetings. I restore old buildings, the forgotten ones, the ones people walk past without seeing. I strip away the damage, find the original structure, and bring it back to life. There's something honest about that kind of work, because buildings don't lie. If something's broken, you see it. You fix it. You don't pretend it's fine just to keep the facade pretty. I made a good living, not insane money, but enough. More importantly, I built something that was mine. And I stopped telling my family about it, because every time I did, they turned it into something small. So I kept my wins to myself. Until the day everything changed. 11 months before that party, I opened that box, and inside it, I found a letter, handwritten, from my mother, for Laura when she's ready. My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside, just a few lines, but they changed everything. She wrote, "There are things about our family's money you need to understand. I've made arrangements to protect what's yours. Find him." Attached was a business card. A lawyer. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went. And that meeting flipped my entire life upside down. Because my mother, the woman everyone reduced to a memory, had built something before she died. Something precise, legal, untouchable. She had placed $17 million into a protected trust, not for my father, not for the family, for me. And no one had told me, not for 23 years, not my father, not Diane, no one. Because as long as I didn't know, they could keep pretending it didn't exist. That was the moment I realized something. I hadn't been overlooked. I'd been managed. I didn't take the money right away. I didn't storm in. I didn't make a scene. Because part of me, stupid, hopeful me, still wanted one thing: for my father to choose me. Just once. So I waited. I gave him a chance. Then came the retirement party. Big event. Fancy hotel. Everyone who mattered. Except me. I wasn't even on the guest list. They added my name the day before, like an afterthought, like something they couldn't fully erase but didn't want visible. And when I got there, the whispers had already started. I was unstable, difficult, unemployed, a problem. Diane had been preparing the room for weeks, so when the moment came, no one questioned it. I walked toward the stage just to give my father a gift, something meaningful, something real. And that's when she said it. "Security, remove this woman." Just like that. And my father? He said nothing. That was it. That was the moment something inside me finally broke clean. Not shattered, clarified. Because I saw it, clear as day. He had made his choice. And it wasn't me. So I walked out, and I stopped waiting. I sat in my car, opened my laptop, called the lawyer, and within less than an hour, I executed the transfer. $17 million. Moved. Legally. Irrevocably. Mine. And here's the part they didn't see coming. That money wasn't just sitting there. It was tied in to everything. Their lifestyle, their accounts, their image. So when it moved, everything else collapsed. Cards declined. Accounts froze. Loans triggered. The whole illusion cracked. Not because I attacked them, because the truth finally showed up. By the time I got home, I had 56 missed calls, and an hour later, they were standing at my door. All of them. For the first time in my life, they came to me. Not as hosts, not as judges, but as people who had lost control. And that conversation? It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was simple. I told them the truth. The money was mine. Always had been. And I took it back. No revenge, just structure. The way my mother taught me. What happened after that? Consequences. Real ones. Debts surfaced. The truth came out. Illusions disappeared. And for the first time in decades, people started seeing things clearly. Including my father. He came to me later. Alone. No audience, no performance. Just a man who finally understood what his silence had cost him. And me? I didn't forgive him instantly, because real healing doesn't work like that. But I gave him something honest. A chance. On new terms. 3 months later, I stood on another stage. Different room, different crowd. And this time, no one asked security to remove me. I spoke about my work, about restoring what's been abandoned, about saving what still has strength underneath the damage. And I named the foundation after my mother, because she didn't just leave me money, she left me a structure that could hold. So, if you're listening to this, and something feels familiar, the silence, the exclusion, the feeling of being too much or not enough at the same time, hear this. You're not invisible. You've just been surrounded by people who benefit from you staying small. And the moment you stop, everything changes. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally chose yourself. I didn't win because I fought harder. I didn't win because I hurt them back. I won because I stopped asking for permission to exist and started standing where I was always meant to stand. If you've ever had to choose between peace and dignity, choose dignity, because peace built on silence isn't peace at all. And if you made it this far, you already know some stories aren't meant to comfort you. They're meant to wake you up.